Hey everybody, it's Rob. It's our third week of our little mini vacation. We're going to be back next week, but as I promised you, I've got one more panel to show you guys from Retro Expo last month in Allen, Texas. Now, this one is a little bit different. I got the chance to sit down and talk to another legend. This is one of those. When I got this assignment, I was just my right. Because Sid Krofft was a huge part of my childhood, the Sid and Marty Krofft creations, and you'll be amazed if you ever look up how much stuff he's actually done and how many people he's influenced in the things that he's done. The audio on this and the video may get a little bit different than what you're used to seeing because we ended up having to do this panel at his table due to a schedule conflict. And I keep forgetting to give this shout out. The guys at Fanboys 918 who came down from Tulsa and helped me do some panels, and Dwayne took care of all the video for us. These guys pivoted on a moment's notice and were able to pull off a really great moment for everybody involved. I loved working with those guys, so make sure you follow Fanboys 918 on all your social medias. They do such an amazing job with what they do. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to be back in studio next Sunday. Enjoy this time that I got to spend with Sid Krofft. Welcome, sir.
Well,
Retro
you so
Expo,
much.
make some noise for Sid Krofft, please.
Well, thank you. Hey, thank you, everybody.
My name is Rob Irvin. I'm one of your moderators this weekend. Thank you for being flexible with us and taking
thank
some
you.
time.
I was pissed for a moment, but I'm fine. I'm fine.
As long as you're fine now. That's what I'm worried about.
No, I am. I mean, I've been in this business for 83 years.
Let's go. 83 years.
Can you?
Well, the weird thing is
you're in the business.
But the weird thing is you're
that's not
70,
my
so I have
age.
questions now.
Yeah,
You've been in the
okay.
business 83 years and you're 70. How does that work?
No.
Okay.
93. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm still working. Don't retire. Don't ever retire. That'll kill you. And here's something else I want to tell everybody that I have experienced in my career. I lived in Maui for 8 years, and I learned something there. Everybody went right. I looked for a left-hand turn because we follow the leader all the time. And every time I took a left-hand turn, I discovered the most incredible adventures. And so, go left. And you're going to discover something so magical. That's what I'm just giving you my life. And it's been incredible. Can you imagine being in this business for 83 years and getting to work with, Judy Garland? I was on her national tour. We played right here at the State Fair Theater. We were here for, I think, 3 weeks. And I was her opening act, a puppet act. It just blew me away. We opened in Vegas, and for a puppet act to be in Vegas.
But what you did was so much more than a puppet act,
Oh, yeah.
though.
Well,
you were so different from everything else that was going on at the time.
Always.
And you talked, as we were getting ready to start, about Texas being very integral to what you were doing. Can you talk a little bit more about being in Texas and what that did for you?
Of course. In 1946, get this, 1946 is the first time I came to Dallas and all the other cities with the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey Circus.
So glad you
and
mentioned.
wait a minute, I know you don't know this. The Big Top held 15,000 people. Can you imagine putting up a tent? Well, it was much bigger than this whole room,
It's the size of most arenas now.
Well, it was 15,000 people, but I didn't perform in the Big Top. They hired me I was 15, as the world's youngest puppeteer, and in the sideshow, the freak show. because they never had an attraction like that. And the reason that they hired me, they offered me $40 a week. And I got so scared that I had to leave home at that young age and travel all over the country. I said, I can't do that. $40 is not enough, thinking that they would turn me down. And I asked for $50. And he said, okay, a week. I mean, $50 a week in 1946. That was like, whoa, can you imagine how much money? My family, my dad said, you've got to go because we're going to be millionaires. That's $200 a month. You know, they lived in an apartment that cost $20 a month. Tell me how much your rent is now.
That's not a question I even want to answer thinking about that.
No.
So when things start to happen, for most of us, I mean, you look around, most of us know when you hit ABC television and what all that did for you. Wonderbug was one of my personal favorites.
Wonderbug.
Loved Wonderbug.
Well, but that was way, way down the line.
Indeed.
Because there were 26 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you're witnessing the guy that created Puff and Stuff,
Yes, sir.
The Bugaloo,
Yes, sir.
Lidsville,
Mm-hmm.
Sigmund and the Sea Monsters,
Mm-hmm.
Land of the Lost.
Mm-hmm.
We produced Donnie Marie, and that whole show was. I laid it out like an old vaudeville show because I was in vaudeville when I was a kid, and burlesque, and I worked in a show next to Radio City Music Hall. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Can you hear? Can you hear? Nobody's there.
You guys hear back there? No?
You can't hear me?
You have to put it in your mouth.
Top 10 things I did not expect to hear during a panel today.
I mean, come on. Give me a break. Is that why people are walking away? Okay, whatever. That's fine.
So you're talking
Because
about
I
Donnie.
can't hear.
You're talking about Donnie and Marie and how
No,
you sound like a
Donnie Marie,
vaudeville
I laid
show.
out that
Uh-huh.
whole show, the Brady Bunch Hour,
Bay City Rollers.
the Bay City Rollers.
You worked with Patti LaBelle at one
Well,
point.
we did her special, and Raquel Welch.
Yes.
Yeah, we just lost her, and I just saw her. I think it was 2 Christmases ago at a party. Beautiful woman, still. And I don't know, what went wrong, but she was much too young to leave the planet. And when you come visit me in my house, I have bar stools.
Oh,
My whole house
there
is
you
built out of 2 65-year-old barns, which is now 100 years. I've lived in my house for 52 years. And the bar stools are the beams, and they were leveled off, and I used Raquel Welch's butt to make it a seat. So she lives on in my house. So when you come to have a drink in my house, it's Raquel Welch's butt.
When you look back now on all the people you've influenced,
Wow, that blows me away. It really does, honestly. Because I got to tell you something. When I go out of town, I forget, and I hand somebody my credit card and they freak out. They freak me out because they grew up. But that's 50 years ago, Puff and Stuff. And they still, somebody here is going to sing the song. Where is she? Are you singing the song? The Puff and Stuff song? For us? Maybe, right? Maybe, okay.
we've got to go through her agent. I think that's what we have to do.
Okay, I'll sign your contract. And it's just amazing to me because how many shows can you remember 50 years ago? How many? Maybe Hanna-Barbera had a couple of. Well, we did the Banana Splits.
Greatness.
And we didn't create that show. Okay, I gotta tell you a story. Six Flags, Angus Wynn built the original Six Flags. We had a show at the New York World's Fair. It's called Les Poupées de Paris. You had to be 21 years old to see it. That was the gimmick, because I know that there are young children here, but it was tits and ass.
Hey-o.
You know, it was like the Lido or the Folie Bergère. And it took 3 months to install those stages with waterfalls and ice rink and, you know, a swimming pool. And we always had a little person mixed with the puppets, and we put strings on them. And the audience and the critics never knew that. They always thought it was a robot, or, you know, or whatever. I can't think of the other word. But anyway, and they would break out of the stage and rip their strings down. And this happened in Dallas, and you got to hear this story. Little Homie, who came, I think, from Russia, because for Puffin Stuff, Billy Barty helped me find 35 little people. And we brought them from Germany and Russia and other countries, Brazil. We had a couple of little people. And the first movie that I ever saw in 1939, are you ready for this? First movie, I never saw a movie before, was The Wizard of Oz. Opening day, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And I came from a real poor family, and they couldn't afford a ticket, but the guy that lived upstairs from us, he opened and closed the curtain in this beautiful theater, and he invited me, if I got there at 6 in the morning and came backstage, and that he would look through the curtain and make sure that the manager wasn't in the auditorium, and he'd tell me to run out and sit in the first seat that's empty, which would be way in the outer aisle. And when I saw The Wizard of Oz, I knew I was too tall to be a munchkin, you know? And God, it was a world that I'm 10 years old. And I thought, I can't be an actor, because I was a real shy kid. And so, but I knew that was the world that I wanted to be in, somehow. At 10. Then I saw a vaudeville show 2 weeks after that, and there was a puppet act. I never saw a marionette before. And this marionette came out of a suitcase. It was a clown, and he blew up a balloon. And I'm in the theater by myself. My dad was going to pick me up after the show, and he had this couple take me in. So I sat next to them, you know, and the clown balloon broke. And I became so sad, and I started to cry, and it was packed, the theater, people screaming, shut the hell up, or whatever they were screaming, you know. And the ushers came, I couldn't stop crying for this clown. And the ushers came down and threw me out of the theater. And I sat waiting for my dad in front of the theater. Oh yeah? Okay. Is that it?
She's going to hold it in place for you.
No, that would be great. Yeah. Hey, everybody out there, that's Kelly's hand. Okay? You love Kelly. Okay. I love Kelly. And so I sat out crying. I couldn't stop crying for that clown. And people would walk by and they'd say, where's your mom? Where's your dad? Should we call the police? I couldn't even answer them. My dad finally picked me up, and I cried all the way home. I don't even think he had a car. We probably took the trolley car for a nickel. And that was something else. Our family had one ticket. So one of us would get on the trolley and run to the back and give give me the ticket and wait for the second trolley to come. Because we only had 5 cents was a lot of money. You know. Did you know that lifesavers cost 5 cents? That was the most expensive candy because my dad said, I can't afford that. He said, for a penny, you could get a whole bag of candy, out of all those beautiful jars in the candy stores. Isn't that wild, these stories? Okay, so anyway, where was I? Kelly, I lost my place.
You were talking about the marionettes you saw in the
Okay,
theaters.
so
and
the
after
marionettes.
That, yes.
I get home, and there's a little kid that lived on my block that I hung out with every day because he had the first Superman comic book. And we never looked at the back. We'd always look at the pictures every day. And I looked at the back that day, and there was a marionette for sale, a hazel marionette. $3.95. I went to my dad and I said, can I get that? And he never hit me, but he was furious. He said, $3.95? That would feed your family for weeks or a month or whatever. And I'll never forget this, what he said to me. You want a dolly and you're a boy? Many years later, in 1954, I did, with my puppet act, the command performance for the Queen in London at the Palladium Theatre. And when she came backstage, it was a night of 100 stars, so forget it, I did like 3 minutes. The show was 5 hours long. And when she came backstage, she had a lady in waiting behind her, and that told her everything. And when she got to me, she said, "Oh, what cute little dollies." And I almost gave her the finger. So, because I heard my dad's voice, and I thought, oh my God, I could have still been in the Bastille? No, that's France. In the Tower.
Tower of London, the Buckingham Palace.
I wouldn't even be
Or the
here
Tower of London.
Today.
The Tower of London, where the jail is. Okay.
Yeah. So that was my experience with the Queen. And you know what? That lady in waiting, I could use her because I have a hard time remembering names.
And he asked me things and I was not alive.
No.
We have a best friend Google these days.
Yes, the magic box.
Yeah.
Is there a project that you knew was going to be big that others didn't believe in?
No.
So that
No, because every time I created a project, it was really, really important for me, without showing it to anyone, that I believed in it. And that, I kept hitting brick walls. In my mind, the characters are real important, because if they're going to buy a series, you got to have stories from the characters, not just Puff and Stuff, not just Jimmy, not just Witchy Poo, but each character has to give you a story. And then when I felt comfortable, I would go into my art department and start. I'm not an artist, but I know how to push an artist's pencil. And guess what? I painted my first, I have little paintings on my table. You got to just look at it. That was my first hobby. Now I got a hobby at 93. Isn't that great? Okay, so anyway, I'm lost again.
But we were talking about things you were working about that maybe you really felt so passionate about that others maybe didn't, and you wanted to push it through, and that became good. So it was Puff and Stuff one of those?
It was Puff and Stuff came from Texas. Hemisphere. That character was the symbol of Hemisphere. Look at that. Show that. Yeah.
This
Kaleidoscope.
is the,
That was for the Coca-Cola company.
Where you had to open it up and you actually put the marionettes together.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a stage in here.
Yeah, but that it had a witch, and her name was Witchy Poo, and we redesigned her. And it was a big musical. When you walked into the theater, there was no stage. And when the show started, look at what Puff and Stuff looked like.
He was the enchanted dragon back then.
And his name was called Luther. And he had a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Sure, we're in Texas, you know.
Well, and in the background, is that supposed to be on the cover? Is that supposed to be the World's Fair, or is that Six Flags?
No, that's the World's Fair. That was Hemisphere, yeah. And we did 9 to 12 shows a day. Did you work in that theater? No. Just Six Flags here in Dallas. Yeah. So
we got another one back here too. So we got multiples of these here.
Well, I got to tell you something. That's a treasure because you cannot find those. I have one that's in my.
I have 2.
You have 2?
You can have way extra.
No way.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, do I do.
Here.
Oh, well.
No way, Kelly.
So we have a guest that's actually giving you one of his 2 that he has.
God, no way. Isn't that...
And that's in, look how beautiful a shape that's in too. I mean, Hemisphere 68.
1968.
That is gorgeous.
Can you believe it? I'm still here talking.
Absolutely, we believe it.
We all have problems with it.
Yeah.
Is there one series that sticks out for you as the one that you always love to go
Well,
to?
it's always the banana splits. You know how that all happened. I asked Angus Wynn, who put us up in a big company in Hollywood. We had 250 people working there, and we built a lot of the rides and whatever Six Flags needed, not only here in Texas, but the first puppet theater was in Atlanta, and then St. Louis, and then we came here, you know. And so we were in all the Six Flags parks with a puppet theater. That sat 1,200 people, and we did like 9, 12 shows a day, right? Yeah. I mean, can you believe it? How much did you make?
Oh, there's the question.
What was your salary for a week? It couldn't have been more than $125.
Started at 125, 68. I think it was 175 my last season.
No way. You mean Marty gave you a raise?
We actually have one of the puppeteers from his shows.
Right
who
here.
He's talking to.
Well, we got 2.
Which is insane. We have 2 of them, and then someone else tangentially that relates to the whole thing. I mean,
it's. I mean, come on, you guys really touch me coming here because like I said, I don't do these signings or whatever they call them, these conventions. At Comic-Con in San Diego, you know, we do a panel and then we sign for 3 hours, and then I go back on the train, you know.
You want to take a couple of questions from the audience?
I do.
All right, we got time for a couple of questions. Let's go right here to my left. What's your name, sir?
Mark Ridley.
This is Mark.
There was a sketch comedy show in the 90s called Mr. Show.
And they did a spoof on.
They did a spoof of Puppet Stuff. They called it Drugs and Juices.
Well, they were right.
And Freddie the Flute was a talking bomb.
Yeah.
It was all about drugs. And Tom Kenny was in it. And he played a tripping mushroom or something like that. Anyway, of course you saw him.
Oh, of course I did. Marty was pissed. I loved it. I just loved it. Well, he didn't create Puff and Stuff or any of those shows. Marty does the business end, you know. And I'm the guy. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, right,
Hands
right.
up.
Absolutely.
They're gonna come on.
What's your name?
Come on, you gotta come up here.
Come on up.
Come on up. Oh my God, you're not going to believe. How old are you? How old are you? 9 years
And what's
old.
your name?
Okay, you listen to this.
Esther. This is Esther.
Esther, you're going to get the mic because she's going to sing you the Puff and Stuff song. She did it for me. You blew me away.
I have a question.
Okay,
a
what's your question?
What's your question?
So my question is, What's the big deal about a talking flute? The whole of the island is talking. Seriously, that's the name of Living
Well,
On.
everything was talking on Living On.
Yeah, so what's the big point about a talking flute? Is the whole point is...
Well, because the flute was originally a harmonica. And then I thought, wow, that's a little bit old-fashioned. But Jimmy, he was like the Pied Piper, right? And so that flashed in my mind, and I said, the Pied Piper needs a flute. And of course, everything talked on Living On. Because to me, everything is alive. And we need to be kind to everything.
So why did they want the flute if everything was talking?
Talking is the whole thing.
And because Witchy Poo, it was a gold flute. It was real gold. And Witchy Poo thought, since she is not the boss witch, she's just a witch. And because in the movie, Boss Witch came, Martha Ray, and then you didn't like the movie?
I didn't watch.
Oh, you didn't watch the movie. Oh, you gotta watch it. Mama Cass is in it, and she sings. It's a classic, a beautiful, beautiful song called "Different," and a lot of organizations took that song and they use it as their, theme.
Yeah,
So we're getting back to the flute.
Yeah. Why was it such a big deal?
Well, because Witchy Poo thought if I get that flute with the gold, with all the diamonds on it, remember it's got diamonds, and it was solid gold, then she could be the boss maybe one day. And so that's why she was after that flute.
So it wasn't because the flute talked. It was because
No. Well, she was pretty, she liked that it talked too. Talked back to her. Yeah. Didn't you love Witchy Poo? That's a great character. Are you going to sing the song for us? Come on, you have to.
Yeah?
Yeah. Hold it right up.
Like this?
Yeah.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I'm supposed to sing it?
No.
Yeah, do it.
You're okay.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, chop, having stuff. Hey, when things get rough. Hey, chop, having stuff. Can't do little cause can't do nothing. Once upon a summertime, just a time. Boys magical and flute down. Come play with me, Jimmy, come play with me. And I will take you on a trip far across the sea. But we all take cookie what you had in mind. The flute is glitching from the blue in the sky. Yeah, with a mirror, rain so on. And the boat was gone. The sky's too dark, you see glue up in the bushes, on and on and on and on. Puff and Stuff was watching too and knew exactly what to do. So it was just basically. He saw the witch's boat attack and how the boys floating back. Saw the last ways to clear and just as they rehearsed, he's into the water, saved the boys, who got it fast. Now the boys watched the ship puff up to save the day with me. The man, bunchy man, ran away. Hey, job, Puff Stuff. This one would think you off. Hey, job, Puff Stuff. Can't do little because can't do enough.
There
Wow. You're incredible. I thank you so much for being a fan. That's great. Thank you.
What does that do for you?
Oh, come on.
Because you think about it, that's now 3 generations.
You want to touch my heart? It's beating, Really.
You have a heart?
Yeah. The Wizard of Oz.
I think we got time for one more question before we get back to. Here we go, right here in the front. Your name?
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, what you got?
Come up here.
What's your question?
What was the original idea for Witchy Poo's goons? Like little goons.
Witchy Poo's what?
Like her goons.
What was the original idea for Witchy Poo's goons?
Oh, you mean Seymour and... Oh, well, everybody has like a sidekick. I have Kelly. Right? And, and Witchy Poo had, Seymour and, what am I doing? Why am I going blank? And Orson. Yeah, Seymour and Orson. And do you remember some of the scenes when she was in her beauty chair And she said, "You make me beautiful, make me beautiful." I'm trying. I only have 6 arms. It was a spider, yeah. I mean, if Puff and Stuff, all of our shows were not written pulling kids down. Because in those days, it hardly happens anymore. Mom and Dad sat with their kids on Saturday morning and watched all of the shows. And if Mom or Dad laughed, even though the kid maybe didn't understand, a joke or whatever, the kid laughed too. And then I hear back from kids that grew up and they said, "Hey, Dr. Blinky, oh my God, I get it now. Dr. Blinky had a house, a fireplace that smoked too much, and it had a terrible cough." That's how I sent a message up. The house was on crutches, because the network constantly said they were nervous as hell because it was all animation. They never did a live action show, and they hated Puff and Stuff, the title. Oh, they said it sounds like a powder puff. And I said, "What planet are you from? Do you know the big song right now is Puff the Magic Dragon? That's where I got it from." And they said, "Oh, well, I guess we don't listen to music." And then I put HR, because he was the Royal Highness. He was the mayor. But I spun it around because I felt Puff and Stuff wasn't big enough, that word, And so that's how that all happened. No, everything's got a story.
Thank you for your question.
And thank you so much for being a fan.
Amazing question, guys. Nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we want to let you get back to your table. People can come see you and get their autographs and their questions and everything else.
They all did.
Thank you so much for sitting with us today.
No, and thank you.
Sid Krofft, you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you all the fans out there. Yeah, I'm in Dallas.
That you are, my friend.
Yeah. And I'll see you next week. Kelly, who do we have on next week?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
He'll be there. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. I'm sorry they dumped us out in the alleyway, but that's show business. And we got through it, didn't we?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.